Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Ari, and today I am going to talk about the books that I will be reading in 2021 from the Goodreads Choice Awards 2020. What I try to do every year is to read the winner of almost all of the categories and at least one other book that was nominated. Last year I did the winner and the highest rated, but highest rated fluctuates so much that I decided just to do the winner and then books that sound interesting to me, so if I can see if I'm better at choosing what's actually good for me, or if the people who vote in the popularity contest of Goodreads actually know what the hell they're talking about. So we're going to go through all of the categories, go over the winners. I'm going to tell you the winners, and then I'm going to tell you what I might read, what sounds interesting to me, basically. So we're going to start with fiction, and the winner of fiction is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Sure. I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard good things about it, so maybe it's good. What sounds interesting to me? So American Dirt by Janine Cummings sound interesting to me. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I am not going to go over what all these books are about. You can look them up if you would like to, but it's just going to make the video way too long for me to do that. The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel sounds kind of interesting. Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Ghazi. I own that book, so why not read something that's already on my TBR, or that's already in my own TBR? The Girl with the Loudling Voice by Abby Derry, maybe? What else sounds interesting? A Burning by Megan Majumdar. I think I pronounced that wrong. Luster by Raveland Lilani. Sounds really good. An Instant by Susan Redfern. I've read The Death of Vivek OG. That's the one I voted for, and I liked it a lot. Homeland Elegies by Ayad Akatar sounds very good. Real Life by Brandon Taylor sounds good. A lot of things in the fiction section sound really good to me, so I think I'm going to be reading a lot from this category. The next category is Mystery Thriller, and the winner of this category was The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which thank God I own, because I'm gonna read it. What else sounds interesting? Home Before Dark was number 2. I already read that. It was okay. The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James sounds interesting. I've read another one of Simone St. James' books, and I thought it was okay, but I'm not opposed to reading something else that she wrote. When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I own 2 copies of this book randomly. I have a physical and an audiobook. There we go. One by One by Ruth Ware. I've heard good and bad things about it, so I'm not entirely sure, but maybe. The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. I own this as well, so why not read it? Winter Counts by David Heska Wanbali Whedon. I didn't say his name wrong, but that's an Indigenous book by an Indigenous author, so maybe. The Night Swim by Megan Goldlin. I've heard good things about this book, but I've also heard like a lot of trigger warnings about this book, so maybe. And that's it in that category. Next category is historical fiction. And the winner is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I've been wanting to read this for a while now, so this just gives me the damn excuse to read it. The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner sounds interesting. The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. That also sounds interesting. Magic Lessons, which is the prequel to Practical Magic. I definitely want to read that. I like the movie Practical Magic. I never read the book, but I would want to hear about their ancestors and how that curse came to be in the first place. The Pull of the Stars by Emily The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donahue. I own this as an audiobook, so why not get to it? Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. One of the booktubers that I follow, Savage Reads, I think is his tag. That was like his favorite book of the year, I think. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. And that is it for historical fiction. Next category is fantasy. I've read all of them. There's a video. I'll link it right there. After fantasy is romance. I've read The Winner and I liked The Winner, and I have zero interest in any other book in this category. I don't like contemporary romance, and they're all contemporary romance. I read the one paranormal romance on the list and it won. So we're skipping the romance category. Next up is science fiction. This is also going to have a very big list. The winner is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Poloni, which I have read. It was pretty awful. Honestly, it was overwritten. Christopher Poloni could use an editor. That's all I have to say. Second place was Harrow the Ninth, which I've read. Then third is The Network Effect, which is number 5 in the Murderbot Diaries. I definitely want to read all of the Murderbot Diaries, so I should get to this book for sure. The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Micaiah Johnson. I own this book, so I should have a fairly easy chance of getting to it. Then The Hidden Girl and Other Stories by Ken Liu. Sounds very interesting. I love science fiction short story collections, so let's read science fiction short story collections. Then I have Riot Baby by Tochi Omnibuchi. I do own this, so should be able to read it. Then The Vanishing Birds by Simone Jimenez. Sounds interesting. Let's read it. Hinch by Natalie Zena Walskoots. Probably pronounced that wrong. Sounds interesting. Let's read it. And that's all that sounds interesting in science fiction. Next category, horror books. So the winner is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And I'm going to be really honest with you. I did not at all like the one Silvia Moreno Garcia book that I've read. So I don't really have a whole lot of interest in reading this book, and it may turn into just a hate read because I don't think I like her writing. We'll see. Maybe this is like her second chance. Maybe this book will be really great and I'll love it. We'll see. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix was third, and I own that book. I really want to read it. I might actually read it this month before this video comes out, but we'll talk about that later. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I've heard very good things about that, so I want to read it. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I did read that already and I liked it a lot. Like, a lot. Good indigenous rep. Kind of a creepy premise. The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. I think I own this book. I'm reasonably sure I own this book, so if I own it, I'm going to read it. Played Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. I do own this book. So, Tender as the Flesh by Augustine Bezterica. Probably mispronounced that. This book sounds so icky and creepy, and I need it. It's like about cannibalism, and I need it. And then Ring Shout by P. I'm not going to say his name. P. DeJelly Clark. I'm going to say that's how you pronounce his middle name or last name. I don't know. probably pronounced that wrong. This is about the Ku Klux Klan, and it sounds interesting. And that's it for horror. The next category is humor, and I'm gonna skip this category because I don't like this genre, so I have no interest in reading anything from that genre, so I'm not gonna do it. Next up is nonfiction. So the winner is Stamped: Racism, Anti-Racism, and You by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kennedy. This is Ibram X. Kennedy wrote a book called Stamped from the Beginning, which is for adults, and then this one is for young adults. So same book, but like dumbed down, I guess. Aged down? Probably not dumbed down, just aged down. What else sounds good in this category? Hood Feminism, Notes from The Woman That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. This is about black feminists who get left out of the feminist movement fairly often. Me and White Supremacy, Combat Racism, Change the World, and Become a Good Ancestor by Layla Saad. Sounds like the type of books that I've been reading a lot, so definitely down for this one. I think I might own that too. I own a lot of books about racism and white supremacy, so I kind of get them confused in my head sometimes. Beyond the Gender Binary by Alok Vadmenon. I can't pronounce people's names. That just sounds really, really interesting. I don't know a whole lot about non-binary genders because I am very cisgendered, but I am always interested in learning like about things that don't describe me. And that's gonna cover it for nonfiction. We're keeping that one a little bit shorter. Some of these are like insane, and I'm not gonna get to all these books. So memoir and autobiography, the winner was A Promised Land by Barack Obama. I don't actually really have any interest in reading this because I don't like politics, but sure, why not? What sounds interesting? Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Sounds interesting. All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I think that's also written in verse, so it should go pretty quickly. I could be completely wrong and it's not written in verse, but whatever. The Beauty in Breaking by Michelle Harper. Notes on Silencing by Lacey Crawford. I do own that as an audiobook, so why the hell not read it? And Conditional Citizens on Belonging in America by Layla Liami. Sounds very interesting. Next category is Best History and Biography. And the winner is Caste: The Origins of Our Disconnects, which is about racial tension again, so definitely looking forward to reading that one. What else sounds interesting? A Black Woman's History of the United States. Yes, please. That is by Diana Rami Berry. Yes. 999, The Extraordinary Young Women of the First Official Jewish Transport to Auschwitz. That sounds like it's going to be really sad. So let's read it. Then The Address Book, What Street Addresses Reveal About Identity, Race, Wealth, and Power by Deidre Mask. I own that, so read it, because I own it. You're going to hear that a lot more, probably. And Dead Famous, An Unexpected History of Celebrity from Bronze Age to Silver Screen by Greg Jenner. That sounds light and fun. I like the cover. Why not? Overground Railroad, The Green Book and Roots of Black Travel in America. Sounds like it's about racism. I've been reading a whole lot of books about that topic this year, so let's not just support Black lives in June of 2020 and continue the trend. Wandering in Strange Lands, Daughter of the Great Migration Reclaims Her Roots by Morgan Jerkins. I own this book. I should probably read it because I own it. And that is it for that section. Next, we're going to Best Science and Technology. The winner of this is A Life on Our Planet, My Witness Statement and Vision for the Future by David Attenborough. I am hoping that comes in an ebook because I need to hear him talk about these things and not just read it, because he has got the voice of God. Now, what else sounds interesting? How to Argue with a Racist, What Our Genes Do and Don't Say About Human Difference by Adam Rutherford. I own this, so I should read it. And that was the only other book that sounded interesting in that category, so we've got a short one. Winner, winner. Next category is Best Food and Cookbooks, which I'm skipping, because how the hell do you read a cookbook? I don't cook. No one wants to see me cook. I don't want to cook. We're skipping that category. The category after that is graphic novels and comics, which I was considering skipping, but I can do it. Yeah. The winner was Heartstopper Volume 3. I've read Heartstopper Volume 1 and Volume 2 and thought both of them were mediocre, so let's continue the mediocrity and read Heartstopper Volume 3. Because it takes me like 30 minutes to get through the book, so why the hell not? That's by Alice Oseman, by the way. What else sounds interesting to me? There's a couple of like dark-looking comics, graphic novels. That's the word I'm looking for. Dark-looking graphic novels in here. So I discovered that I tend to like really dark horror graphic novels, so I'm gonna try a couple of them off of this list just to get more into reading graphic novels. And the first one is Basket Full of Heads by Joe Hill. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, and he writes horror books, so this is a horror graphic novel by him. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I guess we're gonna find out. The other one was Monstrous Volume 5, which I'm just gonna read all the Monstrous books up to Volume 5 and see if that's interesting at all. It looks dark and gross. Next category is Best Poetry, which I skipped last year, but since I'm skipping humor this year, I'm gonna go ahead and read poetry, because the one book of poetry that I read this year I ended up really liking, so maybe I like poetry more than I thought I did. And the winner is Dearly, which is by Margaret Atwood. This probably just won because of her name. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I guess we'll find out. And then I had one other book on here that I wanted to read, which is Poems for the End of the World by Kate Wismere. She is a booktuber and I want to support her, so let's read her book of poetry and see how that does for me. The next category is Best Debut Novel. Yay! The winner is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I wasn't super interested in this, but I guess I'm gonna read it now, whether I'm super interested or not. What else sounds interesting? The Jane Austen Society sounded interesting. The Girl with a Loudling Voice, The Year of the Witching. All of these books are gonna be in other categories. I have read The Bone Shard's Daughter by Andrea Stewart. That was in the fantasy category, which is why you haven't heard me talk about it in this video. A Burning, Lester, Real Life, Winter Counts, Raybearer. Yeah, all of those books sound interesting. They're all books covered in other categories, so I'm not even gonna, I didn't even give you the authors' names. You can just figure it out. Next category is Best Young Adult Fiction, and the winner is Clapped When You Land by Elizabeth. The winner is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is told in verse, I do know that. Books that sound interesting to me, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, because it's a thriller and it's not just a contemporary romance. And then One of Us is Lying, or no, One of Us is Next, which is the One of Us is Lying book 2. I'll probably read One of Us is Lying, and then if it's good, then I'll continue to book 2, which is also a thriller. I don't think there was anything. Oh, This Is My America by Kim Johnson sounded interesting. And that's it for that category. Next is Best Young Adult Fantasy and Science Fiction. The Winter is the Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which I have read, and that series sucks dick. It's awful. The pacing's horrible. It's just like, oh no, he's in trouble. Oh yay, I saved him. Oh no, he's in trouble. Oh yay, I saved him. And it's just like, can you draw anything out at all? Can you give me like any enjoyment of this book without instantly coming into a solution of something that should take you hundreds of years to solve? No, okay, the book's done, great, at least I don't have to read this shit anymore. Not a fan of Holly Black, if you didn't catch that. Want to read, what else? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games. I don't really want to read this anymore, but it is on my TBR, so I might as well read it. I've read Chain of Gold, which is The Last Hours, book 1. Fan-fucking-tastic. That's the one I voted for. What else? Starsight, which is Skyward 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I read that. I loved it. Brandon Sanderson is a great writer. Girl, Serpent, Thorn by Melissa Bashardoust. I've read it. It was a really, really good fantasy. It was like a light fantasy. Like, not like the fantasy aspect is light, it's just like the reading level is light. Like, there's not a whole hell of a lot of world building. There's not a heavy plot. It was just quick, enjoyable fantasy. A Song of Wraiths and Ruins by Roseanne A. Brown. I've heard good things about this, so maybe I'll get to that. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I own this book, so should read it. I don't think you've heard that enough, but I should read the books that I own. Aurora Burning, which is Aurora Cycle Book 2. I've read that already. That was by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, sorry. It wasn't as good as the first book, but it was still okay. All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Another book that I own, and that I'm going to read because I already own it. The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune. I read a book by T.J. Klune this year and really liked it, so I would like to read more by this author. That's why that's on this list. And then Ray Bearer by Jordan Afueco. Another book that I own, and I should probably read all the books that I own. The next category is Best Middle Grades in Children, which I will be skipping over because I don't like middle grade or children's books. And then the last category is picture books, which I will also be skipping over because children are the worst. And those are all of the books that I may perhaps at some point be reading for 2021 for the Goodreads Choice Awards. You will see a wrap-up video of this in October because I wrap this up before I read the 2021 fantasy nominees, which starts in November. So, like I said, between now and October, I will have read at least the winner of all of these categories, except for the ones that I skipped over, whatever, and then at least one other book. Hopefully at least one other book. Probably multiple books in some of the categories, but we'll see. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.